Hello, everyone. My name is Olivia Matongo, and I'm the Vice President of Programs for the Alzheimer's Association Illinois chapter. If it is your first time with us today, welcome to the Empowered Caregiver series. And please be sure to watch the first program in the series called Building Foundations of Caregiving, which explored the role of a caregiver and the changes they may experience, building a support team, as well as managing caregiver stress. The program today is called Supporting Independence, which focuses on helping people living with dementia take part in daily activities, providing the right amount of support, and balancing safety and independence while managing expectations. I'm now handing it over to Annie Stahlfeld, who will guide us through today's content. Thank you.
Hello, and welcome to Supporting Independence. As mentioned, today's session is part of the Empowered Caregiver series presented by the Alzheimer's Association. I'm Annie Stahlfeld, a community educator with the Alzheimer's Association of Illinois, and I work a lot with the Chicago office. I volunteer in honor of my grandma, who had Alzheimer's disease and was really impactful to shaping who I am today. So this program is for people who want to learn information and skills to care for someone living with Alzheimer's or another dementia. If you have questions, feel free to leave them in the comments of this video, which will be available on Facebook and YouTube. So let's take a look at our learning objectives for today. After this presentation, you'll be able to explain the changes in independence that happen in people living with Alzheimer's and other dementias over the course of the disease. Describe the 4 steps for helping people with personal care activities, list tips to help make activities meaningful, identify ways to know what is the right amount of support, and describe how dementia affects safety. Most people living with dementia want to do as much as they can for themselves. They want to be independent for as long as possible. As a family member or friend and their caregiver, you most likely know the person best. Other family members or trusted friends can also help you learn more about the person, like their life history, hobbies, likes, and dislikes. When you know what is most important to the person, you can find ways to help them stay independent and safe for as long as possible. Try to include the person living with dementia in conversations about their support needs. When you do this, you are treating the person with dignity and respect. You will also feel good that you're making decisions everyone is comfortable with. So let's do a knowledge check question. Is this true or false? All people living with dementia need the same amount of support. The correct answer is false. Each person living with dementia has different strengths and abilities. As a caregiver, you can use what you know about the person to provide the right amount of support. As we just discussed, each person living with dementia is unique with different strengths and abilities. It's also true that dementia affects people in different ways. Everyone's level of independence will vary, and these abilities will change over time. Alzheimer's causes more damage to brain cells as the disease progresses. This makes it hard for a person to follow instructions, move from one activity to the next, or remember the steps to do a task, even one they could do before. So how can you maintain or maximize the person's independence? As a caregiver, you should encourage independence by focusing on what the person can do instead of what they can't, doing tasks with the person instead of for the person, and connecting with the person instead of correcting them. It's also important to pay attention to the person's abilities as they change. Adjust your approach as you need to. As the disease progresses, you will need to break tasks into smaller steps. The person living with dementia might need more time to do each step or may not be able to finish all of the steps. We define person-centered care during the last session. Now let's explore how to provide person-centered support for activities. In the early stage of the disease, people living with Alzheimer's are usually still independent with personal care activities like dressing, eating, using the toilet, and bathing. However, they will need more support with these activities over time. You will need to adjust your support as the person's needs and abilities change. Let's watch this short video of a caregiver talking about providing person-centered support.
So with mom, examples about around mealtime and cooking, She was willing to allow for my sister and I to prepare meals. And what we would do is have her maybe break apart celery or chop up some bigger size vegetables if we were doing a soup or something, and still incorporate her in those activities. As again, the condition continued to progress, we then would just manage the full preparation ourselves, but supported her process in terms of the eating.
Today we're going to discuss 4 ways you can support personal care activities. By 1, planning your approach, 2, simplifying the process, 3, creating the right environment, and 4, identifying health issues. The first strategy is to plan your approach. Before you start an activity, ask yourself, what is the best way to support the person living with dementia in this situation? Here are a few things to keep in mind. Think about the person's likes, dislikes, and abilities. With each activity, treat the person with dignity and respect, provide them with choices, and plan enough time to finish the task so the person does not feel rushed. The next strategy is to simplify the process. Everyday tasks may feel confusing or unfamiliar to the person living with dementia. Here are a few ways you can help reduce stress or frustration and help the person be as independent as possible during an activity. Break the activity or task into smaller steps. Focus on one step at a time. Take out any extra questions or parts of the process that may not be necessary. And give instructions and encouragement to help the person feel successful. For example, you can say things like, "Great choice," or "Thanks for your help." Next, think about how you can create the right environment, one that will make the person living with dementia feel supported and safe. Unfamiliar or stressful environments can make the person feel anxious or nervous. To create a safe and supportive environment, keep the area comfortable and free of distractions. Get rid of trip hazards so the person can safely walk around. Make sure the space allows the person to have privacy. For example, get a privacy screen or room divider so that others cannot see the person while they are bathing, changing their clothes, or using the toilet. You could also hold up a towel or blanket while the person is getting dressed. Finally, think about how the health of the person may affect how you care for them. Dementia causes changes in the way the body works, especially if the person also has other health issues. When doing an activity, you can support the person's health and well-being by checking to see if they could be feeling uncomfortable. They may have trouble sitting for a long time. And considering if they have a skin condition like eczema, an infection, or dry skin that makes them feel sensitive to touch. Make sure to talk to a doctor if you notice any changes in the person's health. It's important that doctors and nurses know the person is living with Alzheimer's or dementia and what medications they take. Taking these steps can also help prevent additional health problems. So we've talked about some ways you can support a person living with dementia with their personal care needs. Now let's take a look at how you can apply these strategies to daily activities. We'll start with getting dressed. For a person in the middle or late stage of Alzheimer's, choosing and putting on clothes can be frustrating. Encourage the person to do as much for themselves as possible, but be ready to assist when they need it. To help the person get dressed, start by planning your approach. Make sure you have enough time to help the person without rushing them. Respect the person's individual style, including their likes and dislikes. And consider how much help they need. Do they need help choosing a whole outfit? Do they need help with just one piece of clothing? Next, think about how you can simplify the process. Take off any dirty clothes as soon as possible. Remove the clothes from the area. Instead of choosing clothes for them, give them 2 outfits to pick from. It's important to give the person choices without offering too many options. Lay out or give them clothing in the order it needs to be put on. And sometimes you can use gentle physical prompts to help them dress themselves. For example, you can put your hand on theirs to guide them as they put their arm in the sleeve of a t-shirt. Lastly, you'll want to create the right environment. Dress in a safe area. Some rooms, like bathrooms, have tile floors, which can be slippery and cause falls. Help the person feel comfortable. For example, cover them while dressing. And respect the person's dignity. Find a space for dressing that is private and comfortable. Let's watch a short video of a caregiver talking about how they provide support with getting dressed.
My approach to getting my mother dressed as her needs changed and through the process was to keep her involved in what it is that she would put on. My mother was always somewhat of a vain person and she liked really looking nice. So I would try to buy her outfits that she really liked, that really appealed to her. I would try to buy colors that I knew that she liked. When it was time to get dressed, I would uh, present several outfits to her and let her select what it is that she wanted to wear that day. And just to keep her motivated and as a part of the process, to keep her interacting with me. She really liked looking nice. I liked doing things like keeping her hair done and whatever. And she seemed to appreciate uh, that part of my effort to involve her in the process.
So let's put these strategies into practice. Lucy's partner, Helen, is living with dementia. Helen usually sleeps late and for the last several months has been able to dress herself without any help. One day, Lucy notices Helen is not wearing underwear or a bra under her clothes. The next morning, Lucy decides to just dress Helen herself so they can get out the door quickly. How could Lucy have changed her approach to help Helen remain independent with dressing by providing just the right amount of support? So for planning your approach, 1, each night Lucy picks an outfit with Helen and lays out the clothes for the next day to allow for more time in the morning. Or 2, instead of letting Helen sleep in, Lucy wakes her up an hour earlier so she doesn't have to rush getting Helen dressed in the morning. Which option do you think is best? Option 1 is the best answer. Lucy knew Helen likes to sleep late. To help Helen remain independent, she did not change Helen's routine, but rather changed her approach by helping Helen select her outfit the night before so she could still sleep late. Next is simplify the process. So 1, Lucy dresses Helen each morning rather than allowing her to dress herself. Or 2, Lucy hands Helen one piece of clothing at a time so Helen can dress herself. The second option here is best. Lucy simplified the process by offering Helen 2 outfits to choose from. Lucy focused on what Helen can still do by handing her one piece of clothing at a time and allowing Helen to dress herself. And create the right environment. 1, Lucy makes sure to close the bedroom curtains when Helen is getting dressed so she has privacy. Or 2, Lucy turns on the TV and watches the news when she dresses Helen. The first option is the best answer. Lucy respected Helen's privacy and created the right environment by closing the bedroom curtains. Next, we'll discuss eating. Meals may become increasingly challenging for people living in the middle or late stage of Alzheimer's. The person may feel overwhelmed if there are too many food choices. They might forget to eat or think they already ate. Let's look at how you can support the person with eating. First, you'll want to plan your approach. Think about what foods the person likes and how they like the food cooked. Be flexible with meal times. If the person seems upset or confused or refuses to eat, wait and let them eat when they are ready. And look for ways to include the person so they can help make the meal. Maybe they can set the table or put food on their plate. These actions can help their appetite. Next, you'll want to simplify the process. Offer only a couple of food choices and give the person time to choose what they want. If the person is having trouble eating or drinking, or they're eating slowly, encourage them with simple, easy to understand instructions. For example, say, pick up your fork, put some food on it, raise it to your mouth, and never force a person to eat. Sit next to the person and make eye contact. Use this time to have a conversation with them and connect. Make food easy to pick up, or you can offer special forks, spoons, and knives that can support independent eating. It is also important to create the right environment. Make a quiet, relaxing, and comfortable atmosphere. Limit things that could be distracting, like TV. If you play music, be sure it is soft and relaxing and keep the volume low. Make sure there is good lighting in the dining area so the food is easy to see. And lastly, identify any health issues. Watch for any changes in the person's ability to chew or swallow. If dentures or false teeth are worn, make sure they fit correctly. Watch for swollen gums, sores, or loose teeth. Be sure to talk with the person's doctor if he or she does not seem to be eating or drinking. So let's watch a short video of a caregiver talking about how they provide support with eating.
We realized that she was no longer maybe able to chew things like meats, chicken, and so we started, not by, I guess, a conscious decision, but just because of mom showing us what she could and could not do with regards to eating, doing more of a vegetarian diet for her, and definitely things where we would use softer foods as a disease progressed. So we were able to incorporate different flavors and meals that were still very much a part of the cuisine that she was used to, and the sazon flavors that were familiar to her, with things like eggplant, which was something that maybe she never necessarily had as a child or as an adult. But we were able to season it to her liking. And that's something that we kept kind of on a regular on a regular part of our meal planning, to make sure that she still had the nutrients that she needed, but also keeping the flavors that she knew and liked.
So let's look at putting this into practice. Lee is living with Parkinson's disease dementia. He lives with his daughter, Naomi, and her 2 kids, and is usually independent in preparing and eating his favorite breakfast, toast with butter. The house is usually very noisy in the morning as the kids prepare to go to school. Naomi notices that Lee is experiencing more tremors with his hands, is having more difficulty using the knife to butter his toast, and keeps dropping the toast when trying to feed himself. He starts staying in his bedroom instead of having breakfast with the family. One morning, Naomi sits Lee at the table with the kids and starts feeding him his breakfast. How could Naomi change her approach to help Lee remain independent with eating breakfast by providing just the right amount of support? For planning your approach, should Naomi, 1, ask Lee if she could help by buttering the toast for him, or 2, keep reminding Lee that it's morning and it's time to eat his breakfast? What is the best answer? She should ask Lee if she can help butter the toast. This way, she is treating Lee with dignity and respect by planning her approach and asking if he needs help rather than doing the task for him. For simplify the process, 1, Naomi puts jelly on the toast, hoping that this will make Lee want to eat. Or 2, Naomi cuts Lee's toast into small pieces so it's easier for him to pick up the food and feed himself. The second answer is best. Rather than doing the task for him, Naomi simplified the process by cutting the toast into smaller pieces so he could still remain independent in feeding himself. Create the right environment. 1, Naomi offers Lee breakfast after the kids go to school where there's less noise in the house. Or 2, Naomi has Lee eat breakfast in his bedroom while the kids eat in the kitchen. She should offer him breakfast when the house is less noisy. Rather than having Lee eat alone, Naomi created the right environment by waiting for a time when there is less noise in the house to offer Lee breakfast. And to identify health issues, Naomi, 1, calls Lee's doctor to let him know about the increase in hand tremors and change in Lee's eating habits. Or 2, doesn't look for any health issues because Lee looks fine. The first option is correct. Notifying the doctor, especially when there are significant changes, is critical. This can help identify potential health issues before they become more severe. Next, we'll discuss using the toilet. Let's plan about supporting the person when using the toilet. So start by planning your approach. Every few hours, remind the person to try to use the bathroom. Think about when accidents could happen and how you can avoid them. Watch for body language that tells you the person may need to use the bathroom, then encourage them to go. Think about using protective underwear or pads in case of accidents. Next, simplify the process. Be sure the person's clothing is easy to take off. Make sure the toilet seat is easy to see and in the right position. And if the person has trouble with the toilet, think about using a portable bedside toilet or a raised toilet seat. How can you create the right environment? Make sure the bathroom is easy for the person to find and use. Also consider using helpful devices like grab bars or a transfer chair. Ensure privacy by shutting any doors, curtains, or windows. This helps the person feel safe. And lastly, identify any health issues that may impact using the bathroom. Determine if the person has any bowel or bladder issues, such as constipation or incontinence. This means they're having trouble controlling their bladder or bowels. Be sure to talk with a doctor if the person is having any of these issues. Next, let's watch a short video of a caregiver talking about how she helped her mother with toileting.
With toileting, as my mother's needs changed, she liked doing it less and less, but I had to do things to sort of entice her to do it. I would say, well, mother, as soon as you use the toilet, then we'll have our lunch, or as soon as you use the toilet, we'll go ahead and get dressed. I had to sort of bring in other factors to sort of entice her to do her toilet. And it wasn't something she particularly enjoyed, particularly as she lost her ability to walk. But this is the way that I would sort of entice her into the process and to help her understand that there was something on the other side of toileting.
So let's put this into practice. Bob is living with dementia. Until recently, he's been able to go to the bathroom by himself without any issues. He starts having difficulty finding the bathroom and unbuttoning his pants in time. One day, while doing laundry, his wife, Kathy, notices Bob's pants are wet with urine. She immediately goes to the store to buy incontinence briefs. She removes Bob's underwear from his dresser and tells him he has to wear the briefs from now on. How could Kathy change her approach to help Bob remain independent with using the toilet by providing just the right amount of support? So for planning your approach, 1. Kathy reminds Bob to go to the bathroom every 2 hours to help reduce accidents. Or 2. Kathy buys more pants because Bob is having so many accidents. The best answer is the first option. Kathy helped Bob maintain his dignity by planning her approach and reminding Bob to go to the bathroom every 2 hours to minimize accidents. To simplify the process, 1. Kathy goes to the bathroom with Bob so she can help pull his pants up and down for him. Or 2. Kathy buys pants without zippers or buttons so Bob can easily pull his pants up and down by himself. The best answer is option 2. Bob was able to reduce accidents and remain independent with going to the bathroom because Kathy simplified the process for him by buying clothes that Bob could easily pull up and down. And creating the right environment. 1. Kathy puts a sign on every bathroom door so that Bob can easily find it. Or 2. Kathy keeps the bathroom door closed at all times. The best answer is option 1. Kathy created the right environment by making sure Bob was able to easily find the bathroom because the door was labeled. Finally, identifying health issues. 1. Worried he might have a urinary tract infection, Kathy calls Bob's doctor to help tell him about his new bladder issue. Or 2. Kathy continues buying incontinence briefs for Bob to wear. The best answer here is the first one. While it might have been easier for Kathy to continue buying incontinence briefs, notifying the doctor about changes with his bladder can help to identify other issues and may indicate something more serious is going on. And next we'll talk about bathing. Bathing can be a challenge. People living with dementia may be uncomfortable receiving help with such an intimate activity that involves their naked body. There are ways to make bathing easier and more comfortable, but because each situation is unique, finding what works is often the result of trial and error. Here are a few things to keep in mind. Start by considering the person's preference, bath or shower, and their usual routine. If you do not know the person's preference, ask them directly when possible. If the person is not able to tell you about their preferences, ask someone who knows them well. And make sure you have enough time to help the person bathe without needing to rush them through the process. Look for ways to simplify the process. Use words and actions to show the person where and how to wash their body. Use positive reinforcement to encourage independence, but also provide help when it's needed. For example, the person may be able to wash themselves if you put soap on a washcloth and hand it to them. Be sure to calmly focus on cleaning one body part at a time and do not rush through movements. And it's important to create the right environment. Provide a quiet, relaxing, and warm space, free from loud noise and distraction. Respect the person's privacy. Keep shower curtains or doors closed and provide towels and bathrobes to help them cover up. Provide footwear or assistive devices that help them safely move in and out of the shower or bath, and make sure the room temperature is not too cold. Be sure to identify other health issues. Consider any physical challenges or medical issues that may affect the person's ability to bathe or their comfort level during the bathing process. Find out if the person is experiencing any pain or trouble moving around. Let's hear from another caregiver on this topic.
I always knew that Kathleen doesn't like a cold bathroom. So when she began to lose her ability to sequence a complete task like taking a shower, I stepped in and got the bathroom warm for her, started the shower at the risk of wasting a little bit of hot water, such that I could tell her, sweetheart, I got the bathroom nice and warm, all steamy and warm for you. Come on in. And of course, that led to lots of laughs when she walked in and saw my glasses all steamed up. She thought that was just the funniest thing, but she was grateful that I had cared enough to get the bathroom warm for her. And then initially, of course, she didn't want any help, in the shower. That's a very personal thing, and I respected that, but nevertheless, I stayed in the bathroom, just making sure that she was okay. And then gradually, I said, could I help you with the shampoo there? And I assured her that I knew all about taking care of hair, but she allowed me to help with the shampoo to make sure that we got it all out of her hair. And then, of course, the luxury of nice warm towels waiting for her as she stepped out of the shower. She really appreciated that. And my goodness, what a great, somewhat intimate connection that was, to be able to help my wife in the shower. It was, I'm sorry that I had to do it, but I'm glad that I had the opportunity to do it.
So let's put this into practice. Barbara is living with frontotemporal dementia, and her husband, Joe, recently made the difficult decision to move her into a nursing home. She's in a wheelchair, has trouble communicating, and has always been very modest. When she lived at home, Joe would help her shower in the morning when she was more alert and relaxed. She always preferred to wash her face and arms with a washcloth. While visiting Barbara, Joe learns that she got upset with the staff and resisted taking a bath the night before and would not let them wash her. It's important for the staff to provide just the right amount of support so that Barbara can remain independent with bathing. What could Joe do to help with planning the approach? 1. Joe suggests that the staff offer Barbara a shower in the morning, as this was her routine at home and when she was most relaxed and alert. Or 2, Joe agrees that the staff should keep trying to give Barbara a bath, as she will eventually have to agree. What's the best answer? The first option is correct. Sharing what Barbara's preferences were at home, a shower in the morning when she's more relaxed and alert, can help staff plan their approach to bathing by replicating her routine at home. To simplify the approach, 1, Joe recommends that the staff quickly wash Barbara to shorten the amount of time she's upset. Or 2, Joe shows the staff how he would put soap on a washcloth and then give Barbara verbal cues on how to wash her face and arms. What's the person-centered answer here? The second option is correct. By sharing tips with staff about what Barbara can do rather than what she can't do, staff can simplify the process of bathing by using the same approaches and help her remain as independent as possible. Creating the right environment. What could Joe do to help with this? 1. Suggest the staff quickly wheel Barbara from her room to the shower room after they get her ready for a shower. Or 2. Ask the staff if they can get Barbara ready for her shower in the shower room, where it's quiet and warm, instead of her bedroom, which is down the hall. The second option is correct. Because Joe knows Barbara is modest, his suggestion for staff to help her prepare for a shower in a warm and quiet shower room is a great way to create the right environment by helping Barbara feel more comfortable. And lastly, to help identify health issues, should Joe, 1, ask the nurse if Barbara has had any changes in medication or has any new health concerns, or 2, assume the staff will let him know if there are any changes with Barbara's health. The first option is correct. Supporting a person living with dementia requires involvement from the entire care team. Asking questions about changes in medication or any new health concerns is a great way to identify health issues and engage staff in problem solving. When looking for ways to help the person living with dementia maintain their independence, it's important to consider how to help them stay engaged in their daily life. This includes finding activities they enjoy and find meaningful and rewarding. For example, if the person has always enjoyed food and making meals, setting the table can help them feel accomplished because they were able to contribute to mealtime. Let's take a look at some tips to help make activities successful. Keep the person's skills and abilities in mind. Stick with activities the person is good at or has always liked to do. For example, a person living with dementia may be able to play simple songs learned on the piano years ago. And keep in mind that you may need to make adjustments to match the person's current abilities. For example, putting toothpaste on the toothbrush, but having the person brush their teeth on their own. And pay attention to what the person enjoys. Take note when the person seems happy, anxious, distracted, or irritated. For example, some people enjoy watching sports, while others may be afraid of the pace or noise. Help get the activity started. Offer assistance to get them started, such as folding the first towel or drying the first dish. Talk through the steps as you do them. Most people living with dementia can still do things with just the right amount of support. And focus on doing the activity, not the result. It's not as important if something is done right. Does it matter if the towels are folded properly? Not really. What matters is the person feels useful and you are able to spend time together. Break activities into easy to follow steps. Keep it simple and be sure to focus on one task at a time. Too many directions at once can be overwhelming. If you notice the person is having trouble with the more difficult parts of the task, offer to help. And talk to the person. Describe what you are doing while you are cleaning the house, folding laundry, or cooking dinner. Even if they can't respond, they will benefit from your communication. And try again later. If something isn't working, it may just be the wrong time of day, or the activity could be too hard for the person at the moment. It's important to know what works one day may not work the next. If this is the case, you may need to make changes to the activity or try it again at another time. It is important to figure out how to provide the right amount of support for each person. Find a balance. Too much or too little support can have unintended consequences. For example, providing too little support can make the person feel frustrated or make them want to give up on a task. Too much support can make the person feel like their thoughts, emotions, and abilities are not important and may make them not want to participate. Person-centered care can help you provide just enough support. In some cases, this can even mean the person is able to do more for themselves for a longer period of time. The following tips can help you in considering how much support is just enough for the person living with dementia. Consider what you know about the person. It is essential to learn as much as you can about the person you care for. Find out their likes, dislikes, strengths, and abilities. Ask about their preferences. Talk about which things they would like help with and which things they'd like to do on their own. Have a conversation about different situations and how they'd like you to help. Change how you do activities to allow for success. The person might need help starting a task, or they might need you to help simplify the steps they should take to complete a task. They may want verbal cues or reminders. Find out what type of help will make them most successful. And start out small. Begin with a small amount of support and see how things go. Don't be afraid to try out something new as long as it's supportive. If it doesn't work, try something else. Organize the environment, such as schedules to match the person's best times of day with the most important activities. And pay attention to how things are going and make changes when needed. Watch for signs that you're providing too little or too much support. It's important to continue to evaluate and adjust your approach as the disease progresses and the person's interests and abilities change. To help you apply what you've learned today, you'll find an activity linked to the video. This activity will help you to continue to think about how you can provide just the right amount of support. You'll read through a story and reflect on how the caregiver supported the person's independence, then think about and write down how you can adjust your approach by providing the right amount of support. Now let's talk about how to balance safety and independence. True or false? You only need to worry about safety in the late stage of the disease. This is false. It's never too early to create a plan for the person's safety. This can reduce risk and prevent injuries. It can also make everyone feel more relaxed. Many people living with dementia feel that maintaining their independence throughout the course of the disease is extremely important. As the disease progresses, it can be difficult for caregivers to balance safety with independence. However, it's very important to put safety measures in place before an accident occurs. So how does dementia affect safety? Alzheimer's disease causes a number of changes in the brain and body that may affect safety. Depending on disease progression, these can include judgment, like forgetting how to use household appliances, sense of time and place, which can include getting lost in familiar places or wandering, behavior. The person may become easily anxious, confused, or afraid, or they might not trust other people. Physical ability. The person could have trouble with balance, which could increase their risk for falls. And senses, like experiencing changes in vision or hearing and sensitivity to temperatures. They might have trouble with depth perception and find it difficult to judge where objects are around them. So let's take a look at some tips to help the person living with dementia stay independent and safe. A person living with dementia may be more prone to safety hazards in certain areas of the home or outdoors. Be sure to keep an eye on garages, workrooms, basements, and outside areas. Make sure tools, chemicals, cleaning supplies, and other potentially dangerous items are safely secured. Look at the Alzheimer's Association Home Safety Checklist, available at alz.org/checklist, for more tips on creating a safe home environment. The ability to drive is closely tied to a person's independence. However, driving requires the ability to react quickly to a variety of circumstances. Because of this, someday the person living with dementia will no longer be able to drive. Planning ahead can help ease the transition. Discuss how retirement from driving will be handled before it becomes an issue. This can include exploring other transportation options to help the person remain socially and physically engaged in activities they enjoy. Visit the association's Dementia and Driving Resource Center at alz.org/driving to learn how to develop a plan to stop driving. Firearms or guns can be dangerous for everyone when someone in the home is living with Alzheimer's or another dementia. As the disease progresses, the person may not recognize someone they've known for years and view them as an intruder. With the gun accessible, the result could be disastrous. Locking or disabling a gun may not be enough. Consider removing guns and other weapons from the home or storing them in a locked cabinet. Invite trusted relatives, hunting buddies, or other authority figures to take part in the discussion about firearms. The association's Safety Center has more information about firearm safety and simple things you can do to keep everyone safe. And a person living with Alzheimer's may become lost or confused about their location. This can happen at any stage of the disease. As a caregiver, there are some things you can do to help the person stay safe when they leave their home. Address tripping or fall hazards in the home or around the yard. Make sure the person takes a fully charged phone or GPS with them when they go for a walk. Let neighbors know the person is living with dementia so they can help if they notice the person seems lost or confused. And enroll the person in a medical identification program so that if they get lost, others can quickly see their medical information, emergency contacts, or other important details. As a caregiver for someone living with Alzheimer's or another dementia, managing your expectations is key to feeling successful. At the end of the day, ask yourself what really matters. Does it matter if the forks are in the wrong drawer, or is it more important that the person was involved in helping put them away? Can you work on being more patient or accepting of what's happening in the moment and go with the flow? It might be helpful to think of a motto you can repeat to yourself to help you focus on what's most important. Use your own words to come up with something that will be meaningful for you. Some examples might be, let it go with the flow, or if it's not done right, so what? Whether you're looking for more information on supporting independence or you have other questions about topics we haven't covered today, know that the Alzheimer's Association is here for you. We provide a wide variety of information and support, including our free 24/7 helpline that can connect you with highly trained and knowledgeable staff in over 200 languages. They can help with education and decision-making support. They can help during a crisis. They can also help you find resources. Master's level clinicians are available all day and night. They can give detailed care consultations, a free of charge care navigation service. Families can use this at any stage of the disease. And we offer many local resources. So find your Alzheimer's Association chapter at alz.org/find us. We offer local support groups for caregivers, people living with Alzheimer's, and others facing the disease. Some groups are led by professionals, and others are led by specifically trained caregivers just like you. The Alzheimer's Association and AARP Community Resource Finder at alz.org/crf is a database of dementia and aging-related resources. It's an online tool that you can use to help you find programs and services in your area. Our website, alz.org, has free information and resources for people facing Alzheimer's and other dementias. alz.org/care has information for caregivers. alz.org/safety and alz.org/driving offer information on staying safe at home and how to know when it's time for the person to stop driving. ALZ Connected at alz.org/ALZ Connected is a free online community for people living with dementia and their caregivers. ALZ Navigator at alznavigate.org/ALZ Navigator is another interactive online tool. You answer questions about your situation, and then it makes a plan just for you. The plan includes information, support, and local resources. We offer a number of education programs like the one you've attended today. These programs can help you learn more about the disease and various caregiving topics. We have free in-person, online, and virtual programs. That is the end of today's Supporting Independence presentation. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments and we'll get back to you as soon as we can.